बहुत सारे लोगों को एंजल इन्वेस्टर का मीनिंग भी नहीं पता। तब मैंने स्टार्ट किया, हियर इज अ रियल एंजल इन्वेस्टर।
As you said, आपके पास you always had a plan B, but I think it's a wiser decision to have a plan B also. So you have the courage to take risk in plan A.
हाँ, so you should always have a plan B, but the plan B should be.
So you are into that early stage investments. What makes you go there?
You're talking about Indian startup ecosystem, and I'll give you some data points. When you are pitching to me for taking my 1 crore rupee, in my mind I am thinking ये आदमी किसी बड़े वेंचर कैपिटल फंड को कैसे पिच करेगा अगर वो 100 करोड़ रुपए का वैल्यूएशन। If you can pitch to get my 1 crore rupees, fine. But after that, if you cannot pitch a 100 crore rupee valuation, what's the use?
Coming back to startups, you see the founder and everything. How आप early stage startup में invest करना है, how do you make your mind in that?
In terms of startup ecosystem, we were very late to the party.
So how is Ritesh as a guy and an entrepreneur?
First of all, he's a very
Hello Mandar, welcome to Wowza podcast.
Thanks, Pawan. Thank you, and
So-
thank you for all the hospitality.
Oh, it's
Vizag, and we roamed around yesterday. It
Yes.
was a good.
I hope you liked everything.
Yeah. Very smooth roads, very well done city, small city, not a lot of traffic, good infrastructure, and still getting developed. I think now lately, I
Yes.
saw a lot of real estate coming up. Beaches are beautiful. Good tourism.
So are
destination.
people like us?
Yeah. People are also beautiful, I must say.
Okay, Mandar. So can you share your journey? How did you start and how did you come to this startup ecosystem, consulting and funding and all that thing?
So it's a long journey. 20 साल हो गए. So
ऐसा
I
लगता
start from
नहीं
the
है.
beginning. So you have a.
लगता नहीं है कि 20 साल हो गए. You still look young.
Yeah, I started
Like-
very early. Yeah, child labor. So chartered accountant by education. I did chartered accountant from the Chartered Accountants Institute in India. Then I did also chartered accountant from the Chartered Accountants Institute in England and Wales, UK.
Okay.
I did my MBA with a major in M&A, mergers and acquisitions, strategic alliances, mergers, acquisitions, joint ventures. That was my major in the MBA. Worked with BDO, worked with Ernst & Young, and then joined as India CFO for a company called Imeris. Imeris was my client.
Imeris.
Imeris. It's a company listed on Paris Stock Exchange, multi-billion-dollar group. All across the world, they have mining reserves, mining rights, and they do forward integration. They have chemical manufacturing plants across the globe. So whatever minerals come, which is calcium and magnesium mostly, they come in a rock form. It's like a big white rock, and this becomes a raw material for the chemical manufacturing plants. And these chemicals are then supplied to industries like plastic, ceramics, pharma, rubber, latex, wherever calcium is used. Right. So I became India CFO, and they were my clients when I was in Ernst & Young. So I was onboarded. That time, Imeris had just one plant, one chemical manufacturing plant in India. I stayed in India for 4 or 5 years. The company, so I was very lucky. Company grew very fast during that period. When I left India job of Imeris, we had 4 manufacturing plants, and the capacity of the first plant, which was there, when I joined as CFO, tripled during those 4 years.
Oh, great.
So a lot of business expansion. I went through very hectic work schedule because of the expansion, not only on financial front, but investment, HR. We had joint venture partners in India. So negotiating with them, going through legal documentation, gave me a lot of experience. And then the company promoted me to become regional CFO for Southeast Asia region. That's where me and my family, we relocated to Kuala Lumpur. Kuala Lumpur was the headquarters, for the regional headquarters for the Southeast Asia region for Imeris.
So this was when back?
This is 2009.
Oh, 2009.
Yeah, 2009. Then we stayed in Kuala Lumpur for almost 3 years, and there were 5 countries Emirates के अंदर जो which made part of the Southeast Asia region: Indonesia, Malaysia, Singapore, Vietnam, and Thailand. So the Southeast Asia region. I stayed there for 3 years. Then I was headhunted to become group CFO of a company called Global Gases Group, which is a Indian family managed owner driven company. And you have to understand, as a CFO, and I became a group CFO. We had gas plants in 17 countries that time, headquartered in Jebel Ali Free Zone in Dubai. Stayed with that company for 3 years, but that was a big cultural change for me as CFO from a listed company, publicly listed company. So corporate governance are on a different level, right? And again, it is French. So French people globally are known for because they are very meticulous. They go to the last dollar when they do calculations and so on. From that kind of a culture to a typical Indian family managed Lala जिसको बोलते हैं हम, Lala company. It was not a Lala company. It was a company
in Dubai.
In Dubai, but Indian family managed, owner driven, very owner driven culture. Had business in 17 countries. So it was a big group. But somewhere that culture is still Lala. So, and that's not bad. I'm not saying this is good and this is bad, but I'm saying that as a CFO, it was a cultural shift to manage a very corporate governance driven company to an Indian family owned company, from a French management leadership company to an Indian management leadership.
घर वापसी बोलते हैं ना, welcome
घर
back.
वापसी घर वापसी. So that was in 2012. I stayed as group CFO for 3 years, and in Dubai. So that's where we relocated to Dubai in 2012. In 2015, I left Global Gases Group, which was my company. That was my last corporate job. And I started my own consulting company called M Strategy Global, a strategy consulting. I wanted to do a strategy consulting for large companies, and also M&A advice, which was my major in MBA. And when I was group CFO with Global Gases Group, we had acquired an Indian company as well. So I had a fresh experience of going entirely through the negotiation process, the legal documentation process, and so on. So I always wanted to do an M&A, जिसको हम CA की लैंग्वेज में बोलते हैं deal advisory or a transaction advisory kind of a company.
Understood. Merger and acquisition.
Yeah. This is what I started back in 2015. And this company, we grew. On the way, I met my mentor, my guru, and my founder, co-founder, partner, Dr. Ahmed Al-Zubaydi, who comes from Saudi Arabia, very senior personality from Jeddah. And we together grew the company during next 7-8 years. Then I sold the company to a very large consulting group in Saudi, and then came back to India. That was in early to 2023, which is a year and a half back from now. And then I worked on the G20 Startup 20 initiative. I worked with Jagruti Yatra, which is a train journey, a charter train journey goes across India. So last year's Jagruti Yatra was G20 Startup 20 Jagruti Yatra, when we had the presidency under the guidance of Mr. Amitabh Kant, Niti Sherpa of Niti Aayog. He was CEO before. Now he's Sherpa of G20.
Okay.
Yeah. Represents India in G20. And Dr. Chintan Vaishnav, who is head of Atal Innovation Mission and also head of Startup 20 Engagement Group under G20. So I learned a lot from these personalities, work with them on the G20 Startup 20 initiative. And right now I consult a few prominent business families. I consult a few startups. I'm doing some work on a pre-IPO, IPO kind of advisory for SMEs. So this is what I've been doing.
Oh, big background. So we'll go one by one.
Yeah.
So when you were talking about that, you told M Strategy Global.
Yeah.
So what was your vision when you founded that company? What the vision you wanted?
So the vision was, so I'll tell you something. What I've realized about myself is and that's a weakness I have, I get bored very fast. I do certain thing and then I do it again, and the third time I cannot do it. I didn't want to, and that's a weakness. Why weakness? Because most of the things you achieve in life through repetition, through doing the same thing again and again, and by developing your craft, everything is practice. And I'm not very good at practicing the same thing again and again. Because of which, when I wanted to leave the job as group CFO, first of all, I'll tell you the journey behind, right? Everything in life, professional life, has happened to me much earlier than it happens with an average person. When I said that I became India CFO of this French company, listed company and so on, I was 25-year-old.
25-year-old?
Yes, 25-year-old. And there is a board in India. There is chief sales officer, chief purchase officer, chief logistics, chief operation. The average age of them was 35 to 40 years. I was a kid.
Youngest.
Perceived as a kid. I was also new. I learned through the process. When I became regional CFO for Southeast Asia region, I was 29-year-old. When I became group CFO of this multinational company, I was 32 years old. Oh. And when I started M Strategy Global, I was 35 years old. So everything has happened in life, professional life, earlier than it happens usually in other people's life, in the same qualification and same intellect. Because of which, what happens is, you start early, you develop your career early, you start saving early. I'm talking about money now, right? You start saving early, you become financially independent much earlier than again an average person you compare your professional life to. This is what happened in my case. So I had some backup of financial backup savings of managing my lifestyle. And वो तो इंडिया में या पूरे वर्ल्ड में हमारे अंदर वो कीड़ा होता ही है. Now you are into plywood business, right? You would have been an employee somewhere else.
Yes.
लेकिन आपने नहीं किया. You are an entrepreneur. You are a very successful entrepreneur. But that कीड़ा कहीं से कहीं हमारे सबके अंदर होता है कि यार मैं खुद का कुछ स्टार्ट करूं. ये बहुत हो गया अभी. नौकरी बहुत हो गई.
That's how Wowza started.
That's how Wowza started. Yeah, that's how plywood business started. You were telling me about your dad. That's how he started, right? As an entrepreneur in those days, probably a few decades back. In different circumstances. Yes. So मेरे पास financial backing था, and then मेरा ये मानना था कि यार मैं जॉब छोड़ूंगा और कंसल्टिंग करूंगा, और अगर फेल हो जाऊंगा, समझो 6 महीने में, 1 साल में, 2 साल में अगर मैं फेल हो गया, मेरा सीवी तो बहुत जबरदस्त है. सीवी पे तो मैं सुपरस्टार था. चार्टर्ड अकाउंटेंट है, ये है, सीएफओ है, अंडरस्टैंडिंग. सो आई सेड दैट आई विल टेक द सेम सीवी, प्रिंट इट आउट अगेन, गो फॉर अ जॉब. मेरे को तो जॉब मिल जाएगा. सो आई ऑलवेज हैड दैट प्लान बी इन माइंड. Okay. And this is contradictory to most of the motivational speakers tell you that, you should have plan A, you should never have a plan B. You must have read.
Yes.
Everybody. I was not that courageous. I must tell you on this podcast that, I always had a plan B in mind. But that plan B was not something I wanted to do, obviously. So this is where M Strategy started. Now, why in M Strategy I wanted to do a deal advisory and not a regular CA job like accounting, audit, tax, and so on? Because of the thing I told you, that I get very bored. And these things are repetitive. You do accounting, you do audit, you do tax return, you file tax return, you calculate tax. So I was sure that I would not enjoy this. So I wanted to do something different. Deal advisory is something I enjoy. I do till now, mergers, acquisitions, consulting, because every deal is different. One size doesn't fit all there. Every company is different. Every ownership, leadership is different.
Different to different.
Exactly. The thought processes between two company owners is different. Why they are getting merged? Why one company is acquiring another company? There is not a specific reason applied for all the companies. Every company owner has a different perspective in mind. So then that becomes very challenging. That becomes very exciting for me to advise, to study.
So you like challenges a lot?
Yeah. See, either you should like a routine, do things repetitively, or you should end up taking challenges, right? There is no middle. So
वो
I
बोलता है,
chose second plan, which is okay, take challenges.
डर के आगे
And
जीत है.
हमेशा नहीं होती है डर के आगे जीत. मेरे साथ हुआ, I am lucky, but yeah.
As you said, आपके पास you always had a plan B, but I think it's a wiser decision to have a plan B also. So you have the courage to take risk in plan A.
हाँ, so you should always have a plan B, but the plan B should be scary enough.
हाँ.
कि मेरे पास प्लान बी है,
हाँ.
लेकिन मैं अगर आंखें बंद करके ऐसे सोचूंगा कि यार आई विजुअलाइज माई सेल्फ इन प्लान बी, ऐसे नो,
नहीं होना.
नो ये लाइफ मुझे नहीं चाहिए.
मेरे को एक
Then it motivates you to pursue plan A. This is how I think.
मूवी का एक सीन याद आ रहा है.
हाँ.
बाजार करके एक पिक्चर थी सैफ अली खान की.
या सैफ अली खान on the stock market.
हाँ, ठीक है. उसमें वो एक पुराना रेस्टोरेंट में जाता था हर महीने या 2 महीने, वहां पे जाके खाना खाता था.
Yes.
उसको पसंद नहीं था, स्टिल खाना खाता था. तो वो बोलता था कि आई रिमाइंड कि मेरे को ऐसा सिचुएशन फिर कभी ना आना पड़े कि मेरे को डेली ये खाना खाना पड़े.
इसीलिए बीच बीच में मैं खुद को रिमाइंड करता हूँ. करेक्ट. So that should be plan B. कि plan B इतना गंदा होना चाहिए कि that motivates you to pursue plan A. But होना चाहिए और होता है हमेशा. कोई ना कोई तो होता ही है.
So there is always a way out. Okay. तो आपने जब M strategy global का बोला तो उसमें we have seen you with lot of celebrities, stars, startup giants like Ritesh Agarwal from Oyo, Chris Gale from cricketing field. Then अच्छा Bollywood से you have lot of glamour, Nora Fateh and all that things. So what was that? वो उस पे उनके साथ क्या deals थे? How was your terms with them?
So this shows me that you have studied my LinkedIn profile and Instagram profile very well, right? लेकिन सोशल मीडिया is social media, right? Not that I dealt only with a Chris Gale or a Nora Fateh or a Ritesh Agarwal. I had other clients also. Purely consulting arrangements. With Nora Fateh, we worked on a technology that she wanted to launch. We did our job. Eventually, for a certain reason, it could not get launched the way she wanted.
Okay.
Ritesh Agarwal, so we were consultants for one is, I would say, strategy. We helped them grow in the Middle East region.
Acha.
In the GCC countries, Oyo, the GCC countries in Egypt. We structured a few deals for them. Okay. So that was a pure consulting deal advisory or a strategy consulting business that we did.
So how is Ritesh as a guy, an entrepreneur?
Oh, I absolutely love him. So he calls me his consultant. I call him my mentor. He doesn't know. Because I have learned more than what he could learn from me. I have learned a lot of things that a startup founder should have from him. Yeah. First of all, he's a very studious person. He's so any global market Oyo wants to go, he knows beforehand what are the numbers, what is the market dynamics, what would work, what would not work, and that doesn't come to him as a dream, right? He has put effort, a lot of effort before going into a new market, and that's what I like about him. He is a master of numbers. Okay. Yeah, his mind works as a calculator. This is one. Second is he's a very humble person. A person you can sit and talk to him. He would never show you as he is a unicorn founder or he has got a business in 100 countries, 80 countries. He would never show you when he talks to you. A very humble, very down-to-earth person. Comes from a small place. Developed his business from scratch. And he has a knack of fundraising, which is very, very important for the startup founder. And then what is the knack of fundraising? You have to tell what you're going to do with the funds, right? And we'll come to that, in a latter part, how you should pitch and so on. But there are a couple of qualities which make Ritesh Agarwal, and that comes with a lot of effort, lot of मेहनत, बहुत मेहनती है, very focused.
वो देखने में एकदम सिंसियर, जैसे एकदम सिंसियर गाय लगते हैं.
बहुत सिंसियर है, बहुत हम्बल है. वो देखने में हम्बल भी दिखते हैं. Came on Shark Tank, you must have seen.
Came on Shark Tank.
you know.
We are
आप उनका attitude देखो as a shark, आप किसी और shark का attitude देखो as a shark, you immediately see the difference, right?
So hoping him to come to Wowza podcast also.
Yeah, you
Shark
can go.
Tank se Wowza.
Yeah, why not? Why not?
Okay, what about Chris Gale?
So Chris Gale, we had invested in a perfume company in Dubai. Now this company, what they do is, it's not a perfume brand. They do perfume, celebrity branded perfume.
Okay.
So let's say every celebrity has his own signature products, right? So there is, for example, Mahendra Singh Dhoni perfume. There is a Wasim Akram perfume I have at my home. Wasim Akram himself had given me. It is a red leather shaped ball, and then the ball from the mid opens, and then that's the perfume. Beautiful perfume. So this perfume company used to do celebrity perfumes. Now it's not an easy job to do because the aroma, the fragrance should convey celebrity's personality.
Yes.
So a perfume that a Paris Hilton will do, Chris Gale will not do. And Chris Gale will not be done by Wasim Akram because the personalities are different. So the company specializes in that. And that's where I met Chris Gale. And then the conversation started. One thing led to another, about consulting, he does a lot of investments. He does a lot of media production.
Okay.
I think pop songs. He sings.
He sings?
Yeah, he sings. He has music videos.
Okay.
Yeah. Very interesting guy. Good sense of humor.
Oh.
Yeah. Very good sense of humor. Very focused when he discusses. So, मजा आ गया.
So वो आपको मिला और आपको ना नहीं कर पाया?
नहीं, ना नहीं कर पाया मतलब मैंने पैसे नहीं मांगे उनसे. So unless you ask money from anybody, कोई ना नहीं करता है.
Okay, any other celebrities if you want to focus on or tell about a good story?
So there are multiple stories. Now I'm working with Mr. Sunil Shetty quite closely on some of the companies that he has taken equity stake and he has invested. A few companies where he finds there is huge growth potential. So I get involved as a strategy consultant. I get involved as a growth consultant for those companies, and then help the founders, help the owners, guide them to grow them to a level where they have the potential. So I'm working very closely with him. I met him when we started Horses Stable show for Aaj Tak. So his company co-produced it.
Okay.
And that's where I met him, I think 4 years back. I started working on other stuff quite recently after I came back to India. But I've always respected him. I always feel, like I said, Ritesh Agarwal is a Ritesh Agarwal for a reason. Mr. Sunil Shetty is Mr. Sunil Shetty today for a reason. The discipline that goes into it, at the age of 63, he is killing it. He is at the best of his health, the best of his fitness, at the best of his business ventures. And I learn a lot from him. Very senior to me in terms of business acumen, and in terms of business experience. So that helps. That's the best part of becoming a consultant to a person who is very senior to you. Because you get fees as consultancy, but you also learn from them.
Bags of rupees. Tons of rupees.
See, money is not that important. आप पैसा ले लोगे, पैसा तो, by the grace of God, I have earned a lot of money. I lost a lot of money. I invest in startups, which is perceived as a very risky, high risk, high return kind of investment. So I'm okay with that. My risk appetite is high. So money, after a certain point, doesn't hold value for me. Probably because I have enough of it.
Yes.
If you don't have enough of it, then the thought process changes. I have enough of it. So as I said, then I want to work with people who I like to work. मुझे जो लोग अच्छे लगते हैं उनके साथ ही मुझे काम करना है. I need that choice in my life. फिर पैसा 20 रुपए का 10 रुपए हुआ, that doesn't matter. पैसा नहीं मिला, that doesn't matter. But you learn, and for example, when you sit with Mr. Sunil Shetty on a business meeting, or I sat with Mr. Ritesh Agarwal for a business meeting, whatever I have learned is priceless. True, it's priceless. I'm not paying them. They don't need any money from me. And whatever I'm getting, nobody else can get. You have to be there, present, right? And the consultancy thing gives me an excuse to sit in that chair next to Mr. Sunil Shetty or Ritesh Agarwal or Chris PL and so on. So, and then I learn it's priceless. True.
The memories also you make with them, and the things, the learnings you make are priceless.
And whatever you learn from them, you can apply for other clients. You can apply for your own startup investments, right? I've been an angel investor for 10 years now. That doesn't mean that every time I go right. Right? I have done mistakes. I still may do. But then you always absorb whatever good things from other people. Hopefully, you will make lesser mistakes.
तो ऐसा कभी हुआ है आपके साथ, जैसे आपने कुछ रितेश अग्रवाल से या सुनील शेट्टी जी से जो भी कुछ सीखा है, आपने किसी को बताया है कि यहाँ पे तू मिस्टेक कर रहा है, बाबू सुनील शेट्टी भी ऐसे ही करता है, तू उससे बड़ा है क्या? ऐसा कुछ होता है?
नहीं, ऐसे see, you cannot copy paste the advice. So I learned something from here. I learned something from here. I learned something from person C, right? And I am facing a situation which is D. Okay. Not that A will fit. So the advice of A will fit in situation of D, right? You have to combine A, B, C and your own thought process. And then kul mila ke fir then you have to tackle situation D. Sometimes the situation doesn't need advice number B. It doesn't need, right? So you don't have to forcefully apply it.
ये generally I've asked this question for today's youth. मैंने आजकल देखा है, और the youth I am surrounded with, कि वो ये कर रहा है तो मेरे लिए भी ये बेस्ट है, I will copy that. उसका ऐसा ये बिजनेस चल रहा है तो I'll also do the same thing and I'll copy that. तो आजकल ये कॉपी कैट वाला बहुत सिस्टम चल रहा है. तो that's why I asked you the question कि इसका किया हुआ उसको चलता है या उसका किया हुआ उसको चलता है, because people are copying blindly. Today copying is also art. You can't copy everything blindly.
It's a good question, and it is not only in the youngsters. It has been happening for generations, You see something good and you presume that you have the same capability as that person has, right? And you start copying what he is doing. Or you presume that you are very much like that person. आप और वो same है, right? तो वो जो कर सकता है आप भी कर सकते हो. ये मानना ही गलत बात. जो आप कर सकते हो वो आदमी नहीं कर सकता. वो जो आदमी कर सकता है मैं नहीं कर सकता आज.
उसका आइडिया मिशन विजन अलग है, आपका आइडिया मिशन विजन अलग होगा.
So you always keep absorbing from different people. Now you are focusing on these 2-3 people because they are in media, they are superstars, they are unicorn founders and so on. I've learned so many things from other people जिनके नाम भी किसी को पता नहीं. Right? They were my clients or they are my startup founders. आज किसी को पता नहीं है. मैं 5 साल के बाद that guy will become a unicorn founder. Everybody will. So next podcast when you will talk about that guy, because now you know that guy became superstar, but you didn't know that guy जब वो मेहनत कर रहा था जो आज कर रहा है. You're getting my point. So हम 2-3 नाम बोल रहे हैं because वो मीडिया में, लेकिन ऐसे कई सारे. You're sitting with me now, you're learning from me, right? I'm sitting with you, I'm learning from you. किसको पता है मैं क्या सीख रहा हूँ? It's happening subconsciously. लेकिन मैं सीख रहा हूँ. I'm sure मैं सीख रहा हूँ.
चलो मेरे से कुछ सीखने को तो है.
नहीं सबसे है.
Just a joke.
सबसे.
Okay. So फिर आप जब इतना अच्छा चल रहा था, so why did you take an exit from MStat? I think I hope you have made billions of dollars in it.
Yeah. You said billion
इतने billion dollars है कि आपको गिनने में टाइम लग रहा है.
I thought you said trillion. So
बाप रे बहुत टाइम लग रहा है.
से
प्रोसेसिंग में टाइम लग रहा है, इतना है.
नहीं मैं नंबर नहीं बता रहा हूँ आपको. मैं आपको ये बताने वाला हूँ कि वहाँ पे there are 5-6 reasons which came together for the exit. First of all, सबसे पहले मुझे बहुत अच्छा डील मिला. Okay, अभी वो बिलियन है ट्रिलियन है, that is a topic for another podcast. But मुझे बहुत अच्छा डील मिला. नहीं तो मेरा बनाया 7-8 साल से मेहनत किया हुआ इतना बड़ा कंपनी किया हुआ मैं ऐसे नहीं छोड़ देता, right? ये एक चीज हुई। ये ट्रांजैक्शन हमारा 6 7 8 महीने जा रहा था। 6 महीना बैक एंड फोर्थ निगोशिएशन हो रहा था। इट ऑल स्टार्टेड समवेयर इन जून जुलाई 2022 and it ended in December 2022, January 2023. That is one reason. The second reason is I always wanted to come back to India. I started feeling like जो FOMO बोलते हैं ना, fear of missing out. So I started feeling like I'm missing out on something. Economic development बोलो, infrastructure development बोलो, जो भी इंडिया में हो रहा था या हो रहा है, right? So I always wanted to come back to India. It was almost 14 years, 14 वर्ष का वनवास खत्म करके मुझे वापस आना था। घर वापसी ये सही में घर वापसी है। तो मुझे वैसे भी वापस आना था। थर्ड इज पेरेंट्स, बिकॉज पेरेंट्स, एवरीबडी इज एट दिस एज, पेरेंट्स गेट ओल्ड, दे नीड मोर टाइम फ्रॉम यू। सो वो एक मन में हमेशा एट द बैक ऑफ माई माइंड चलते रहता था कि 10 12 14 साल हो गए, आई बीन अवे। फोर्थ इज I was anyways coming to India very frequently. टीवी शो चल रहा था, बहुत सारे स्टार्टअप्स में इन्वेस्टमेंट चल रहे थे, बाकी चीज़ें चल रही थी, कंसल्टिंग में हमारे इंडियन क्लाइंट्स भी थे। सो आई वॉज कमिंग टू इंडिया एनीवेज वेरी फ्रिक्वेंटली बट ऑन वेरी शॉर्ट ट्रिप्स, एंड आई वॉज नॉट हैप्पी विथ those short trips and frequently coming. I wanted to be based here. So that was one reason. So coming back to India, getting a good deal, coming back to parents, these are, I would say, couple of reasons which made me shift.
True. So you were talking about horses stable. How was your experience? What motivated you? You suddenly you were telling that you entered consulting, then उसके बाद इन्वेस्टमेंट्स में, स्टार्टअप्स में, अभी आपने शोज भी किए हैं जहाँ पे आपने पैसा स्टार्टअप्स पे लगाया है। So what is this cycle about? आप क्या thought process था इसके पीछे to go to horses stable?
So let me answer on two parallel tracks. Okay. When I was in Dubai, we had a theater group. I've been acting in theater in Marathi language, and we have done so you don't know the names of plays, but these are very iconic Marathi plays that we used to do. Acting is my passion. I didn't do it for money. It was more of an evening and a weekend thing for me. And I would presume that I am reasonably a good actor. And then stage pay, I knew what to do. I always wanted to do something for camera, right? अभी भी एक दो proposals चल रहे हैं. I always wanted to produce a movie. I still want to produce a good movie. A good, low budget, but a script driven, acting driven movie.
Hero आपके सामने बैठा है.
Right. हाँ. So इसके लिए now I'll start taking auditions for you have to give auditions.
Yeah.
Lot of competition you have. So and so ये एक था कि कैमरे के सामने कुछ तो करना है अपने को, right? Now what can I do? Because if I have to produce a movie, it's a big budget, and I don't have any knowledge of making movies or producing movies. And वैसे ही हम सब बातें सुनते रहते हैं कि ये मूवी पिट गई, ये प्रोड्यूसर कंगाल हो गया, वो बैंकरप्ट हो गया, ये बंद पड़ गई कंपनी. All this news we keep hearing. So it's a very difficult field to enter for an outsider. ये मेरा मानना है. ये एक है. दूसरा ये है कि मेरा एक थॉट प्रोसेस ऐसा था कि I started investing in startups 10 years back, जब तुमको या बहुत सारे लोगों को एंजल इन्वेस्टर का मीनिंग भी नहीं पता, तब मैंने स्टार्ट किया था. इन दुबई ऑल्सो probably I was the first ever angel investor the country UAE has seen, probably. That was back in 2015, 2016.
First ever
angel. क्योंकि वहाँ पे भी कल्चर नहीं था ना, इंडिया में भी कल्चर नहीं था, वहाँ पे भी कल्चर नहीं था. एंजल इन्वेस्टमेंट या कल्चर ही नहीं था कि किसी से आप पैसा ले सकते हो और इक्विटी शेयर्स दे सकते हो. हमारे यहाँ पे कहाँ था? हम बैंक लोन पे डिपेंडेंट थे इतने जनरेशन आफ्टर जनरेशन, राइट? ये तो हमने यूएस से और चाइना से सीखा कि सिलिकॉन वैली से सीखा कि अच्छा ये ऐसे स्टार्टअप होते हैं, ऐसा ये होता है, एंड सो ऑन. सो मैंने स्टार्टअप में एक स्टार्टअप में इन्वेस्टमेंट करना शुरू किया था. अच्छे रिटर्न्स आ रहे थे, अच्छे एग्जिट्स आ रहे थे. कुछ कंपनियां बंद पड़ रही थी, कुछ कंपनियां 10x 20x 100x ग्रो रही थी, सब कुछ वो चल रहा था. मेरे दिमाग में हमेशा ऐसे था कि कैन आई मेक अ मशीन which will contribute to the development of Indian startup ecosystem. And ये आई वुड से थोड़ा सा बहुत बड़ा थॉट है कि आप एक स्टार्टअप में इन्वेस्ट करते हो, आपकी पैसों की वजह से एक स्टार्टअप को फायदा हो गया, राइट. देन आपने सेकेंड स्टार्टअप में इन्वेस्ट किया, उनको फायदा हुआ. मुझे हमेशा ऐसे लगता था कि at that level where I invest, why should I invest in a single startup? Why cannot invest in a machine, in a factory, which is helping multiple startups simultaneously? You're getting my point. And it is helping the entire startup ecosystem in India. It's not helping one startup, it's helping ecosystem. It is contributing to the ecosystem. इस thought के साथ I wanted to enter a show, TV show, Horses Stable, and try my hand at media, entertainment, production kind of a thing. So one was a passion in acting and theater. Another one was a startup ecosystem contribution. I always wanted to do something in front of camera, and then that collided, and I said, ऐसा मौका फिर कहाँ मिलेगा कि आप आपको जिसमें नॉलेज है, विच इज स्टार्टअप इकोसिस्टम, इन्वेस्टमेंट्स, फाइनेंस, राइट, और जिस जो पैशन है वो आप कंबाइन करते हो और कुछ करते हो. सो दैट्स वेयर द थॉट स्टार्टेड. एंड the first show, now everybody knows Horses Stable because we came on Aaj Tak, and Mr. Sunil Shetty's company co-produced it.
So you were the producer? Production house was there or direction?
No, so we have a company called Horses Productions in Bangalore.
That's your company?
No, not only mine. I'm a shareholder of that.
Okay.
I was on the board of directors of that company. There are a few other shareholders.
Okay.
As well. Yeah. And of course, the show would not have been popular if it was not Mr. Sunil Shetty. Okay. क्योंकि मैं आपको बताता हूँ, हमने पहला जो सीजन बनाया वो YouTube पे गया.
अच्छा.
खर्चा हुआ, रेवेन्यू कुछ नहीं आया, कोई स्पॉन्सर भी नहीं आया, कुछ नहीं आया, प्रोडक्शन क्वालिटी भी नॉट दैट ग्रेट. सेकंड सीजन हमने बनाया जो MX प्लेयर पे गया. थर्ड सीजन हमने बनाया जो आज तक पे गया. एंड that's where we received the guidance from Mr. Sunil Shetty, and that's where the show became popular. So I would give a lot of credit, probably almost the full credit of the popularity of Horses Stable show to Mr. Sunil Shetty today. I mean, looking back. So, and I have gained a lot from the show. I mean, it is not about producing or not producing or, being on that sofa in front of camera and investing in startups. Again, that became an excuse. जैसे मैंने आपको पहले भी बताया था कि that consulting business became an excuse for me to sit along with good people. It was the same. I sat with other fellow investors. I saw a few startup founders pitching. I got inspired from their efforts, their मेहनत. मैंने बहुत कुछ सीखा. हमारे शो पे जैसे महावीर प्रताप शर्मा जी हैं, बहुत सीनियर है मेरे से, मिस्टर मोहित गुलाटी, डॉक्टर आरती गुप्ता. ये लोग जो कमेंट्स देते थे या मेंटोरिंग करते थे या क्वेश्चंस पूछते थे, उससे मैं सीखता था. उनको पता नहीं है, या फिर मैंने उनको कुछ पूछा नहीं. दिस इज प्राइसलेस.
अब पता चल गया.
दिस इज प्राइसलेस कि आप सीखते रहते हो, आप सुनते रहते हो, आप सीखते रहते हो, राइट. सो मैं मिस्टर सुनील शेट्टी को शो की वजह से मिला. सो नहीं तो कैसे मिलता, है ना. तो दिस शो बिकेम एन एक्सक्यूज फॉर मी टू सिट विथ more intelligent, smarter people and learn from them, absorb from them. So this is how I always think about any venture. Venture तो ठीक है, पैसा बनेगा नहीं बनेगा, but then what other things you can do because you are part of that venture is more important.
So now you came to startup industry, you invested a lot. So how do you assess the risk factors which are involved in startup industry, startup ecosystem?
So यू आर आस्किंग टू अ रॉन्ग पर्सन, बिकॉज मेरा रिस्क एपेटाइट बहुत ज़्यादा है कंपेयर टू एन एवरेज इन्वेस्टर, और मैं बहुत प्राउडली ये बोलता हूँ। तो एक तो मेरा रिस्क एपेटाइट ही ज़्यादा है, तो क्या होता है कि
बहुत
फिर
सारे
यार रिस्क लेना ही है,
बहुत
right?
सारे
तो
स्टार्टअप्स
उसके पीछे कोई साइंस, कॉमर्स, आर्ट्स, कोई इंजीनियरिंग कुछ नहीं है. देयर इज नो साइंटिफिक थॉट प्रोसेस, देयर इज नो फॉर्मूला कि आई कैन टेक रिस्क, आई टेक रिस्क, राइट.
बहुत सारे स्टार्टअप्स देख रहे, लाइन अभी लग जाएगा.
वो तो हमेशा से देख रहे हैं, और ये मैं पहली बार नहीं बोल रहा हूँ, वो तो हमेशा से देख रहे हैं. So as LinkedIn पे itself, I receive 2 or 3 pitch decks every day on my LinkedIn personal way. That's 100 per month today. Insta पे काफी सारे pitch decks आते हैं. So that way, everybody knows that I can take risk, I can invest and so on. But that doesn't mean that you become stupid. आप बेवकूफ बनो और रिस्क ले लो, जो भी आएगा उसमें पैसे डालो, ऐसे भी नहीं, right? To me, the biggest risk is having a bad startup founder. Yeah. So as an investor in startup ecosystem, and ये I would say मेरी strength है, I can read people very fast and kind of accurately. तो मैं आपके साथ बैठा हूँ 15-20 मिनट, तो मैं जान सकता हूँ एटलीस्ट कि ये आदमी जनरली, नॉट स्टार्टअप वेंचर वाइज, जनरली स्टार्टअप में या लाइफ में सक्सेसफुल होगा या नहीं होगा, इससे कुछ हो पाएगा या नहीं हो पाएगा, ये तो मैं पक्का 15-20 मिनट में बोल सकता हूँ. Not astrology. It's a gut feel. You meet more and more people. You think from that point of view, and you feel you develop a gut feel. It's a gut feel. Sixth sense. Again, there is no formula कि वो बहुत सारे होते हैं ना कि आपने नाक को छुआ तो you are not confident. वो नहीं है. आपने ऐसे ऐसे किया
ये
तो
सब मैटर करता है.
I don't think so यार.
पिच करते समय एक स्टार्टअप इन्वेस्टर को ये सब
पिच करते समय मैटर करता है.
उसका कॉन्फिडेंस.
हाँ, पिच करते समय मैटर करता है. कितने सारे स्टार्टअप फाउंडर्स, नॉट कितने सारे, कुछ स्टार्टअप फाउंडर्स आपके साथ जब बात करते हैं ना, जेब में हाथ डालता है. दिस इज वन थिंग दैट यू शुड अवॉइड. देयर आर वेरी सिंपल थिंग्स दैट यू शुड अवॉइड व्हाइल पिचिंग. बट बाकी तो आपने नाक खुजाया इसलिए मैंने आप में इन्वेस्टमेंट नहीं किया, ऐसे नहीं होता है.
नहीं, बट ये मेरे को थोड़ा सा मैं इससे एग्री नहीं करता हूँ, बिकॉज आप किसी का नेचर या किसी का कॉन्फिडेंस देख के उसका प्रोडक्ट पे जज नहीं कर सकते.
नहीं, दोनों है ना. So I'll give you a theory. You're pitching to me. Let's say आपके स्टार्टअप का, और ये for your viewers, for your audience is going to be very important. A priceless tip. Okay. आप मुझे एक पिच कर रहे हो. Okay. You are telling me that मंदार invest in this, 1 करोड़ रुपया इन्वेस्ट करो, कंपनी का वैल्यूएशन 10 करोड़ रुपया है. Okay. I invest 1 crore rupees. I become 10% shareholder. Simple. Now, when do I become rich? I become rich when I exit, not when I invest.
2 years, 3 years, 5 years down.
मैं पैसा कब कमाता हूँ? जब मैं एग्जिट करता हूँ. मैं इन्वेस्ट करता हूँ तो वो मीडिया के लिए है कि मंदार जोशी इन्वेस्टेड इन दिस स्टार्टअप, राइट. मैं पैसा नहीं कमाया अभी. ना मैं पैसा कब कमाऊंगा? अभी मैं रिस्क बहुत ले रहा हूँ, तो आई एम एक्सपेक्टिंग अ रिटर्न ऑफ 10x. अगर चला तो, अगर नहीं चला तो गया पैसा पानी. नाउ इफ आई एम एक्सपेक्टिंग अ रिटर्न ऑफ 10x, विच मीन्स मेरा 1 करोड़ रुपया होना चाहिए 10 करोड़. मेरा शेयर होल्डिंग है 10%. ऑफकोर्स वो डाइल्यूट हो जाएगा विथ राउंड्स, वो सब फॉर्मूला कॉम्प्लिकेट नहीं करते, बट वो 10 करोड़ हो जाएगा. मेरा 10 करोड़ होने के लिए आपके कंपनी का वैल्यू कितना हो जाएगा? 100 करोड़. 100 करोड़, क्योंकि मेरा 10% है. So when you are pitching to me for taking my 1 crore rupees, in my mind I am thinking ये आदमी किसी बड़े वेंचर कैपिटल फंड को या प्राइवेट इक्विटी प्लेयर को कैसे पिच करेगा अगर वो 100 करोड़ रुपए का वैल्यूएशन पिच कर रहा है. राइट. You got my point?
I got it.
So if you can pitch to get my 1 crore rupees, fine. But after that, if you cannot pitch a 100 crore rupee valuation, what's the use?
It's gone.
So when you are pitching to me, आप मेरे से 10 लाख रुपया मांग रहे हो, लेकिन मैं सोच रहा हूँ कि ये 10 करोड़ रुपया कैसे मांगेगा.
Nice advice. And this is I don't think वो इस बारे में सोचता भी है.
नहीं सोचेगा,
क्योंकि वो उस राउंड का उसी समय का.
That's why a lot of people have lost money in as a startup investor. Okay. And by the grace of God, I've not lost that much money. I've gained more than I lost, so I'm okay on an average. But मैं ये आपको बताने की कोशिश कर रहा हूँ, जैसे आपने बोला कि आदमी का कॉन्फिडेंस और प्रोडक्ट तो इम्पोर्टेंट है, राइट, लेकिन कॉन्फिडेंस इम्पोर्टेंट है. बिकॉज मुझे वो कॉन्फिडेंस चाहिए जो 100 करोड़ रुपया वैल्यूएशन पिच करेगा, मुझे वो कॉन्फिडेंस नहीं चाहिए जो 1 करोड़ रुपया मांगे। 1 करोड़ के लिए चलो ठीक है, ये कॉन्फिडेंस आपका ठीक है, बट आर यू कॉन्फिडेंट इनफ अबाउट योर प्रोडक्ट, योर बिजनेस एंड सो ऑन। सो यू नो, जो प्रोडक्ट बनाता है दैट इज एन इन्वेंटर, इन्वेंशन करता है, राइट, इनोवेशन करता है। लेकिन लेट्स से अ साइंटिस्ट, ठीक है, अ केमिस्ट, समझो उसने एक केमिकल बनाया, व्हाई इज नॉट फाइनेंशियली सक्सेसफुल? बिकॉज उसको बेचना नहीं आया,
वो अपने फील्ड में माहिर है, उसको
अपने फील्ड में माहिर है। बट शुड आई गिव एज एन एंजल इन्वेस्टर मनी टू अ पर्सन हु कैन नॉट सेल हिज प्रोडक्ट? प्रोडक्ट जबरदस्त है, 5 स्टार क्वालिटी है, बट यू कैन नॉट सेल द प्रोडक्ट, व्हाट्स द यूज? आपको बेचना आना चाहिए ना, बेचने में वो कॉन्फिडेंस आना चाहिए। आप मेरे से वैसे ही बात करोगे जैसे आप अपने कस्टमर के साथ बात करोगे। तो मैं ये भी सोच रहा हूँ कि साला ये 100 करोड़ का वैल्यूएशन पिच कर पाएगा एक चीज, और दूसरा ये प्रोडक्ट बेच पाएगा नहीं बेच पाएगा, इससे पैसे कमा पाएगा नहीं कमाएगा, नहीं तो कंपनी ग्रो कैसे होगी? So that's where person's confidence is important. Apart from product I'm not discounting.
इसके लिए आई गेस एक मेंटोर हर स्टार्टअप को होना जरूरी है, तो इनसाइट्स दे सके, जैसे आपने आज दिया है।
मेंटोर अच्छा भी होना जरूरी है ना। अभी हमारा प्रॉब्लम क्या है ना, सोशल मीडिया का, मैं पहले भी बोलना चाहता था जब आपने क्वेश्चन पूछा था, लिंक्डइन पे इन इंडिया देयर आर मोर मेंटोर्स देन मेंटीज।
एडवाइस फ्री है।
I tell you something, why I'm so, couple of people already, some people already asked me, कुछ लोगों ने पूछा है कि why are you so active on LinkedIn? जरूरत क्या है? Right? You are an investor, पैसा तो मिल रहा है. Why you have to go on LinkedIn, post it, write it, reply to comments, you know, entertain all these people. Followers तो ऐसे ही बढ़ रहे. तो answer is, you know, अगर मैं नहीं एक्टिव हूँगा as a real angel investor या real somebody who can guide startup founders, वो आदमी की चलेगी जिसने कुछ नहीं किया है स्टार्टअप इकोसिस्टम में, राइट, लेकिन लिंक्डइन में बहुत एक्टिव। सो आई हैव टू बी एक्टिव टू अवॉइड स्टार्टअप फाउंडर्स टू गो टू अ रॉन्ग गाय। आई हैव टू शो देम दैट here is a real angel investor which I am. So if you go on my LinkedIn profile, most of the startup investments are listed, which are my personal money. Whenever I get investment, I exit, I always put it a post on LinkedIn and so on. A lot of advice I put, a lot of articles I put, on geopolitics articles I put, whatever I feel like, and I enjoy doing it. I enjoy writing, so I do it. And yeah.
So ये सब में आप जब दुबई वगैरह में थे और इतना थे, so what attracted you to come to Indian startup ecosystem?
So जैसे मैंने बोला,
जैसे आप इंडिया आए, you told few things that you were worried for your parents and all that things, but Indian ecosystem, startup ecosystem में आपको ऐसा क्या पसंद आया कि you deeply went in it?
I'm a finance professional, so I'll start with economics. And I'll start with macro.
Okay.
Macroeconomically, and I'm not talking about politics. I'm not talking about मोदी जी प्राइम मिनिस्टर हैं, उनके पहले क्या था, उन्होंने क्या किया, मैं I'm not talking about it. I'm talking about a country. I'm talking about the economy. Right? India has been giving a GDP growth rate of 6 to 8% per annum for 2 decades now, 20 years straight, except the COVID year.
Is that from the Congress government?
Yes. Okay. Yes. अब डेटा निकाल के देखो.
Okay. I thought only after 2014.
It's the official recorded data. We have been doing it for 20 years. मोदी जी के 10-11 साल और उसके पहले के कांग्रेस के, probably even before that also. But 20 years तो हो ही गया, except the COVID year और COVID के बाद वाला जो 2020, 2021, that where also most of the global economies, big economies, created a negative return on GDP. We did not create negative. We did not deliver a 6%, 7%, 8%. We delivered much lesser, but it was still positive. Now there is no large economy. अब बता के दिखाओ मुझे, अब दिखाओ कि कौन सी large economy in the world है, यूरोप में है, यूएस में है, कहीं भी एशिया में है, जिसने consistently for 20 साल 6 to 8% per annum GDP growth rate. There is nobody. Absolutely nobody.
They are struggling to give 2 to 3% also.
Exactly. So now you know the effect of compounding. Our guru, Mr. Warren Buffett, Mr. Charlie Munger always talked about the effect of compounding. Now you compound 6% or 7% 20 times. That's the GDP growth rate we have been delivering. You see this infrastructure development in India, technology development, ये एक साल में नहीं हुआ है, ये एक रात में नहीं हुआ है. It's a 20-year
compounded growth.
This is number one. Number two, we are now politically very stable. Okay. We have a government which has development agenda at its core. They want to do infrastructure development. That is one of the biggest agenda they want to pursue, and they have been pursuing. And they are coming with full majority. So there was a time in India where every second year prime minister was changing, political party was changing. I'm talking about an era between Mr. Rajiv Gandhi to Indra Kumar Gujral to VP Singh to Chandrasekhar to Atal Bihari Vajpayee. That era we were very politically unstable. Every time a new party, a new prime minister comes, policy change and so on. So foreign investors के लिए it was a very insecure scenario कि boss आज मैं पैसा डाल रहा हूँ पता नहीं कल क्या होगा. Today we are very politically stable, okay, and at least for the next 5 years we are going to be politically stable, which adds to the 20-year growth which has happened. These are two factors which led me to consider India and was attracted back to my own country. घर वापस. Okay, this is at macro level. Second is I was already investing in Indian startups since 2016. So I think first investment I did in Indian startup was 2016. Okay. So I was already investing. Now I wanted to be at the base of it. I wanted to be here. Because वहाँ से, you know, you are okay. I mean, startup founders are traveling to Dubai. They are pitching to you. You are coming to India. They are pitching to you. You are investing. You are exiting. But it is not a full-time thing. So that was second. Third is जैसे आपने बोला था कि exit क्यों किया? You know, we had developed M Strategy Global Consulting business to a level during 8 years, where again for me it started repetitive. Growing a business from 0 to 1 and 1 to 10 is something I enjoyed. Now it was 10 to 20, which became very repetitive. Clients तो आ रहे हैं, करके दिखाया जो करना था, खुद के लिए दिखाना था, दूसरों के लिए दिखाना था, सब कुछ हो गया है कंसल्टिंग में. So that was another reason कि अभी इंडिया में आते हैं. इंडिया में जरूरत भी है मुझे लगता है कंसल्टिंग की, गाइडेंस की, और मैं भी कुछ अच्छा कर पाऊंगा यहाँ पे आके. So this was the thought.
Okay. तो coming back to startups. तो अभी startups जैसे how do you see the founder and everything? How आप early stage startup में invest करना है? How do you make your mind in that? After seeing the founder and everything, once you see the product, तो आप अपना एक मन कैसे बना लेते हैं कि मेरे को ये स्टेज पे इसको मेरे को अर्ली स्टेज पे देना है? बिकॉज मेनी इन्वेस्टर्स डोंट डू सीड फंडिंग्स. अर्ली स्टेज इन्वेस्टमेंट्स मेनी पीपल डोंट डू. आई सपोज इफ आई आल्सो गो टू पिच समवन, वो बोलेगा बॉस पहले कुछ बनाओ, इससे कुछ नहीं होगा, आप इसको लेके जाओ, एक स्केल करो, उसके बाद आप मेरे पास आओ. ये मैंने बहुत जगह देखा भी है और बहुत लोगों के साथ हुआ भी है. So you are into that early stage investments. So what makes you go there?
So number one is the founder. And मैं आपको फाउंडर के पीछे की फिलॉसफी और एक तरह से बताता हूँ. मैंने ऑलरेडी बताया.
एक बताया.
आप एक बिजनेस ले लो, ठीक है, बहुत अच्छा बिजनेस ले लो, वेरी गुड बिजनेस, थ्राइविंग मार्केट, गुड बिजनेस मॉडल, अच्छा रेवेन्यू, अच्छे मार्जिन, कोई भी ले लो, और एक बेवकूफ आदमी ढूंढो और उसको बोलो ये बिजनेस आपको चलाना है.
नहीं चलेगा.
अभी मैं आपको दूसरा एग्जांपल देता हूँ. आप एक ऑर्डिनरी बिजनेस ले लो, ज्यादा मार्जिन नहीं है, ठीक ठाक मार्केट है, लेकिन चल जाएगा, रोजी रोटी बन जाए. Now bring a very smart, intelligent person and give that business to this guy. He will crack it. He will crack it. Even an ordinary business, he will make something extraordinary. That's where the founder is important. Founder is important more than the business model. Founder is important more than the market size. Founder is important than everything. Right? Again, you know, we startup ecosystem बोलते हैं product market fit. हाँ, आपने सुना होगा, बहुत सारे किताबों में है, and you know, lot of people, mentors talk about product market fit. मेरे लिए ना founder product fit is more important.
Founder product fit.
Product market fit क्या है कि you have a product and you have the right market,
which is
right market dynamics, and आप ये market को ये product sell कर रहे हैं. That is
adaptable
product market fit.
adaptable हो market से आपका
To
product.
me, there is another fit which is ignored, which is founder product fit. Okay. For example, मैं आपको बताता हूँ, आपका प्लाईवुड का बिजनेस है, राइट? आपको मैं अगर बोलूँ कि यार आप तो बहुत अच्छे फाउंडर हो, यू नो, बहुत मेहनती हो, इंटेलिजेंट हो, स्मार्ट हो, ये ना ये बंद करो, कल से खेती करना चालू करो, आप नहीं कर पाओगे. Why? Because फाउंडर अच्छा है, प्रोडक्ट भी अच्छा है. खेती बुरा बिजनेस है नहीं, खेती बहुत अच्छा
है, इनकम टैक्स फ्री है.
लेकिन फाउंडर प्रोडक्ट फिट नहीं है. आप प्लाईवुड का धंधा अच्छा करते हो, प्लाईवुड का ही धंधा करोगे. अब मुझे बिठाओ प्लाईवुड के धंधे पे, चौपट हो जाएगा, मैं नहीं कर पाऊंगा, राइट? सो बिकॉज फाउंडर प्रोडक्ट फिट वहां पे नहीं. सो आई सी अ फाउंडर, उसकी पर्सनालिटी, उसका एटीट्यूड, उसका कॉन्फिडेंस, उसने कितनी मेहनत की है, मेहनत इन टर्म्स ऑफ होमवर्क, उसको खुद को कितना पता है. आई टेल यू समथिंग, अभी इतने स्टार्टअप फाउंडर्स पिच करते हैं. मेरे खुद किसी सेक्टर्स में इन्वेस्टमेंट्स हैं, मैंने खुद का इन्वेस्टमेंट करने के पहले मेरा खुद का होमवर्क किया, मैंने खुद का यू नो मार्केट साइज के बारे में पढ़ा, रिसर्च किया, एनालिसिस किया, सब कुछ किया, राइट? नाउ सेम बिजनेस सेक्टर में कोई फाउंडर आके पूछता है कुछ और मैं उसको सवाल पूछता हूँ मार्केट साइज पे, समटाइम्स आई एंड अप नोइंग दैट आई नो मोर देन हिम अबाउट हिज ओन मार्केट. सो आप अगर आपका खुद का नहीं करोगे रिसर्च अच्छा, एनालिसिस अच्छा, आपको आपका खुद का कस्टमर नहीं पता है, आपका खुद का मार्केट नहीं पता है, आप कैसे धंधा करोगे? कितना भी अच्छा प्रोडक्ट बनवा, और इसके लिए मेहनत लगती है, ये आपको ही करना है. आपको कोई मेंटोर, आपको कोई गाइड, कोई इन्वेस्टर आपके लिए नहीं करने वाला, ये आपको आपका होमवर्क आपको खुद करना है. उसी से तो आप स्ट्रेटेजी बनाओगे, उससे तो आप बोलोगे कि मैं क्या प्राइस पे बेचूंगा, मेरा कॉस्ट स्ट्रक्चर क्या होना चाहिए, मेरा मार्जिन कितना होगा, ये सब उसी से आएगा. अगर आपको आपका मार्केट पता है, अगर आपको आपका कस्टमर पता है, राइट? सो ये चीजें बहुत मैटर करती है मेरे लिए. दैट्स व्हाई फाउंडर इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. फाउंडर कैन नॉट बी रिप्लेस्ड. सो दैट्स नंबर वन.
आज एक नया टेक अवे है कि फाउंडर प्रोडक्ट फिट, PF
टू मी फाउंडर प्रोडक्ट फिट, हाँ वो आप FPPF जो भी लगा दो, that's not important, that is for your hashtag,
yes,
right? FPPF whatever, but to me that's very important. I've been applying this principle in my own investments for 10 years and always gave me good results. So this is a tried and tested thing, and it is, and through examples मैंने आपको बताया कि कितना जरूरी है. तो फाउंडर तो पहले है, सेकेंड कम्स इक्विटी वैल्यूएशन. हमारे यहाँ पे वो भी एक प्रॉब्लम था. सी आई टेल यू समथिंग, यू नो यू आर टॉकिंग अबाउट इंडियन स्टार्टअप इकोसिस्टम एंड आई विल गिव यू सम डेटा पॉइंट्स. फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल, इन टर्म्स ऑफ स्टार्टअप इकोसिस्टम, वी वर वेरी लेट टू द पार्टी.
सो आप बोल रहे हैं कि यू वांट टू गिव द डार्क साइड्स ऑफ इंडियन?
नो, नॉट डार्क साइड, आई वांट टू गिव यू द हिस्ट्री ऑफ
हिस्ट्री, राइट?
तो आप जो भी हो आज, मैं जो भी हूँ, वी आर अ प्रोडक्ट ऑफ आवर हिस्ट्री. अब माय अपब्रिंगिंग, माय कल्चर, माय यू नो माय हाउस, माय पेरेंट्स, दैट्स वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट इन मेकिंग मी हु आई एम, राइट? इट इज द सेम विद द इकोसिस्टम. हमारे यहाँ पे ना वी वर वेरी लेट टू द पार्टी. वी सो आई गिव यू फ्यू डेटा पॉइंट्स. आपने पीटर थिल का नाम सुना है? 0 to 1 किताब सबने पढ़ी है, राइट? ही वाज द फर्स्ट इन्वेस्टर इन फेसबुक. So Peter Thiel started a company back in 1998. Okay. This company got merged with X.com, which is Elon Musk company, in the year 2000.
Okay.
Okay. And the company was renamed as PayPal.
PayPal, okay.
That is year 2000. Okay. Today it's a multi-billion-dollar venture. Now, and it was a startup, right? It was an innovation, it was a technology-driven business, PayPal. अब मुझे बताओ, साल 2000 में इंडिया में कितने लोगों ने स्टार्टअप का शब्द सुना? साल 2000 में किसी ने नहीं सुना था. हमको पता ही नहीं था स्टार्टअप होता क्या है, राइट? ये बज़वर्ड नहीं था, ये बज़वर्ड अभी आया.
मैं तो खुद जब फ्लिपकार्ट आया आई गेस इंडिया में तब से ये स्टार्टअप होता है, ऑनलाइन ई कॉमर्स होता है. आई थिंक इट वाज 2008.
No, not. So Flipkart came in 2007.
7.
I think, I'm not sure.
I'm also
2007.
not sure. Yes.
Now you talked about Flipkart. I'll give you another data point. You know when Amazon started?
He started somewhere in
1994.
garage.
1995, Amazon did the first angel investment round. 1995. अब मुझे बताओ 1995 में इंडिया में एंजल का स्पेलिंग भी किसी को पता था?
सर तब तो रिसेंटली एफडीआई खुला था इंडिया के लिए.
Exactly.
1991 से.
Exactly. Now 1995 to Flipkart coming in 2007 or 8. I'm not sure again. Yeah, but at least a 10-15 year gap between a Flipkart, which is very similar to Amazon, e-commerce platform, the biggest, right? So 10-12 साल का gap है इसमें और इसमें. So पीटर थिल, मैं आपको बता रहा था 2000 में ये किया. 2004 में पीटर थिल ने फेसबुक में इन्वेस्टमेंट किया $500,000. आपने वो मूवी देखा होगा सोशल नेटवर्क. हाँ, उसके लास्ट सीन में वो आता है, राइट. 2004 में हमारे यहाँ पे ना स्टार्टअप पता था, ना वीसी पता था, ना एंजल पता था, ना किसी को कुछ पता नहीं था. वहां पे ट्रांजैक्शन हो रहे थे, $multi-million ट्रांजैक्शन हो रहे थे. कंपनीज वर एक्वायरिंग ईच अदर. एंजल इन्वेस्टमेंट्स हो रहे थे, वीसी फंड्स मैनेज कर रहे थे, वीसी फंड्स पैसा डाल रहे थे. हमारे यहाँ पे पता ही नहीं था कि ऐसे होता है. देन हम जाग गए. वी वोक अप. वी सेड दैट वाओ, अमेरिका में ये चल रहा है, इंडिया में होना चाहिए. एंड देन द फर्स्ट फेज ऑफ इंडियन स्टार्टअप इकोसिस्टम स्टार्टेड, which is whatever is working in US, copy as it is. वहां पे चल रहा है मतलब यहाँ पे पक्का चलेगा. And the first wave of startup ventures in India was copycats. चाइना का देखो, यूएस का देखो, यूके का देखो, कॉपी करो. वहां पे चल रहा है, इधर चलेगा. Most of these India's companies unfortunately closed down. Some of them survived. For example, पेटीएम जैसे मैंने बोला 2010 में शुरू हो गई, survived. Why? Airbnb started in 2007, I think. 2012 Oyo Room started. Now Oyo Rooms is not a copy of Airbnb, but I'm saying that the first biggest hospitality, tech-driven hospitality startup in US and the first tech-driven hospitality biggest startup in India. Okay, 5 साल का गैप है उसमें, 5-6 साल का, right? Why Oyo Room survived, Oyo Room grew? Because Oyo Room did not copy Airbnb as it is. They never tried to compete Airbnb as it is. They customized the model for Indian market. आज Oyo Rooms is there in probably 70-80 countries across the world, but they started in India.
No, they reach 80 countries.
Yeah. Oyo Rooms today manages much more than 1 million rooms across the world. 1 million rooms, hotel rooms. Yeah.
It's big.
Yeah. It is somewhere between 1 million to 2 million. I don't have exact numbers. Yeah. It's very big. But they started in India. They customized the hospitality. They understood the hospitality sector. Ritesh Agarwal understood the hospitality sector in India. The challenges were different. He did not copy paste. That's why he survived. He grew. So most of the companies who copy pasted, gone. Okay. ये पहला फेज आया. लोगों ने सीखा कि यार कॉपी पेस्ट मॉडल नहीं चलता है. फिर दूसरा फेज आया. लोगों ने वहां पे देखा कि यार आपको रेवेन्यू है, नहीं है, प्री रेवेन्यू है, पोस्ट रेवेन्यू है, वैल्यूएशंस आर अमेजिंग, 10x, 20x, 50x, 100x ऑफ रेवेन्यू. प्रॉफिट है, नहीं है, लॉस है, चलता है. हमारे यहाँ पे भी वो कल्चर स्टार्ट हो गया. कोई भी स्टार्टअप कॉन्सेप्ट दे दो, अच्छा पिच करो, जैसे आपने बोला फाउंडर का कॉन्फिडेंस, अच्छा पिच करो, अच्छा प्रोडक्ट दिखाओ, जो मन मर्जी आए वैल्यूएशन पूछो, मिल जाएगा. ये एक फेज आया. आपने देखा उसका क्या हुआ. मोस्ट ऑफ द स्टार्टअप्स गॉट डिवैल्यूड आफ्टर व्हेन दैट फ्रेंजी स्टॉप्ड, राइट. सो दैट वाज टू मी सेकंड फेज. अभी थर्ड फेज है, which is basically startup founders are educated.
Hmm.
Startup founders are aware कि इन्वेस्टर बेवकूफ नहीं है. इन्वेस्टर को पता है कोई भी वैल्यूएशन बोलूंगा वो इन्वेस्ट कर देगा, ऐसा नहीं है. इन्वेस्टर्स आर ऑल्सो अवेयर. बहुत लोगों के हाथ जल चुके हैं, बहुत लोगों के पैसे निकल चुके हैं. And investors are also more aware, more educated. And investors are also cautious. They are negotiating values now, which is a good thing. दोनों जमीन पे आ गए, इन्वेस्टर भी, स्टार्टअप फाउंडर भी. तो बीच बीच में ये जो बबल आता है और बर्स्ट होता है ना, ये जरूरी है. जरूरी है. अगर ये बबल अभी बर्स्ट नहीं होगा ना तो बहुत बड़ा होके बहुत बड़ा बर्स्ट होगा. ये जरूरी है कि बबल आए तो बर्स्ट हो. बीच बीच में लोगों के पैसे जाते हैं, पता है, करियर बर्बाद हो जाते हैं, पता है, लेकिन वो जरूरी है. सो ये आया. तो अभी जो फोर्थ फेज आ रहा है स्टार्टअप इकोसिस्टम में इंडिया में, दैट्स गोइंग टू बी वेरी एक्साइटिंग, वेरी इंटरेस्टिंग. जो मेरे को लगता है आईपीओस. ओके. बिकॉज यूएस में a lot of startups have gone into IPOs. They have raised public money. They have raised retail investors money. वहाँ पे रूल्स भी अलग है. हमारे यहाँ पे रूल्स आर a little more or little different. I would say. I would not say more stringent, but I would say they are different. And लेकिन हमारे यहाँ पे भी both NSE and BSE दोनों ने अभी एक मेन बोर्ड होता है जहाँ पे आप IPO करते हो बड़े कंपनी का, and then they have started a SME board, right? Small and medium enterprises. There is a lot of scope for startups to get onboarded on the SME board of either BSE or NSE and raise public capital. अभी लोगों को या स्टार्टअप फाउंडर को एक दिक्कत आती है, एक चैलेंज आता है कि हाउ डू आई अप्रोच अ VC फंड मैनेजर, हाउ डू आई अप्रोच एन एंजल इन्वेस्टर, बिकॉज क्लियरली देयर इज अ डिमांड सप्लाई गैप, राइट? देयर इज अ लॉट ऑफ डिमांड फॉर कैपिटल मनी, देयर इज शॉर्टेज ऑफ, एंड दैट इज ऑलवेज देयर. So how do I approach this one guy? How do I approach Mandar Joshi? Now you don't have to approach Mandar Joshi. You can go, you can list your company on the SME IPO board, and you are accessing retail investors' money. Public. There is no one person you have to wait for his decision, right? Also, that will bring a lot of corporate governance into the startup ecosystem. Now you must have seen a lot of scams. Well, बहुत स्कैम्स बाहर आ गए तो 2023 में 24 में स्टार्टअप्स इकोसिस्टम में, लेकिन नाम ना लेते हुए. लेकिन अगर आपके कॉर्पोरेट गवर्नेंस अच्छा है, आपका कॉर्पोरेट गवर्नेंस अगर बढ़िया है, बहुत कुछ स्ट्रिक्ट है, सारा लीगल डॉक्यूमेंटेशन, गवर्नमेंट डॉक्यूमेंटेशन आप फाइल करते हो, टैक्सेस भरते हो, राइट? सो एक ट्रस्ट आ जाएगा स्टार्टअप इकोसिस्टम के ऊपर. अब ये ट्रस्ट कब आएगा? जब you follow the norms of BSE, NSE, SEBI for listing your shares. So that becomes a compulsory thing for you to follow the corporate governance guidelines, to follow the legal documentation, to follow the government filings, whatever are required, right? So उसके ऊपर फिर trust build हो जाएगा. So that's where I say that I would say startup ecosystem would burst. So I am still very excited कि अभी तो शुरुआत है.
So next 10 साल आप बोलते हैं कि इंडिया के इन स्टार्टअप इकोनॉमी
5 to 10 years, yes, definitely, absolutely, definitely.
Great. Okay, could you share a startup story where you have invested and got a multi-folded returns out of it?
Quite a few, by the grace of God. If you're talking only a money return, so recently, a few weeks back, we got an exit. I had invested in a company at idea stage called Precinto. Okay. Precinto is basically, they have developed an AI tool, artificial intelligence engine, which detects and provides information about maintenance issues in solar panels. They did the same with wind turbines, and they did the same with, of course, similar thing, upgraded technology for energy storage. This company I had invested, I think 4 or 5 years back, probably first check, idea stage, got an exit. The company was acquired by IBM.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So sometimes क्या होता है ना, when you say multi-bagger returns, of course there was a multi-bagger return, no doubt about it. But हमारे लिए as an investor, founder के लिए ना, it's a proud moment.
Yes.
And again, that proud moment, उसका कोई कीमत नहीं है. That my company, which I developed from scratch, or I invested at idea stage, got acquired by IBM, a company like IBM, right? That's a success story. Now IBM ने 100 रुपए में खरीदा, 1 लाख रुपए में खरीदा, 1 करोड़ में खरीदा, that's a different thing. Okay, so multi-bagger return आ गया, but it's a very proud moment for the startup founder as well as me. A lot of times a US fund or earlier years before COVID, a Chinese fund in a secondary deal gave me an exit and took over and gave a multi-bagger return. So a lot of startups that I have, not a lot of, but a few startups that I had invested at idea stage got funded later on in the second, third, fourth round by the likes of Sequoia Capital, SoftBank Vision Fund, Lightspeed Venture Partner, Tiger Global. These are world's the biggest venture capital funds and private equity, right? एक क्या होता है ना, ऐसा जब होता है तो वैलिडेशन आ जाता है एज एन इन्वेस्टर कि 4 years बैक आई टुक अ राइट डिसीजन. आज IBM को कंपनी पसंद आई, 4 years बैक आई टुक अ राइट डिसीजन, राइट? सो ये एक प्राउड मोमेंट भी है एंड एक वैलिडेशन भी है कि बॉस आप जैसे सोचते हो एंजल इन्वेस्टर करके, यू नो, योर थॉट प्रोसेस वाज करेक्ट 4 years बैक.
सो जैसे आप बोल रहे थे कि एज अ एंजल इन्वेस्टर यू हैव gone through this and you have got that multi-bagger returns, और आप बोल रहे थे कि yes, okay, it was a good deal that you have cracked that time, it was a great decision. So एक नया investor, नया angel investor के लिए how do he see all this, how do he foresee all this, and in जो already investor है, he has invested in few companies, how do he foresees all this, उसके लिए कुछ advices अगर आप कुछ दे सकते हैं तो.
So an investor who has already invested in startup ecosystem, and I am saying that an investor who regularly invests in startup. So investor जो invest कर रहे हैं ना, वो दो type के हैं. एक investor वो है जो I'll give you again reference of social media because that's the truth. एक investor जो है जिसने 4 साल पहले किसी एक startup में 10 लाख रुपए invest किया, LinkedIn पे जाके अपने प्रोफाइल में बोला एंजल इन्वेस्टर. ठीक है, ये एक तरह का एंजल इन्वेस्टर है जिसको मैं एंजल इन्वेस्टर नहीं मानता. वो तो उसने दे दिया, वो तो स्टॉक मार्केट में करता होगा, कुछ गोल्ड लेता होगा, कुछ यू नो रियल एस्टेट लेता होगा, उसने एक इन्वेस्टमेंट यहाँ पे कर दिया. बट जो एंजल इन्वेस्टर्स है हु आर रेगुलर, राइट, हु आर लाइक मी, हु आर यू नो हु हैव बीन इन्वेस्टिंग, हु हैव सीन ऑल द अप्स एंड डाउन्स इन द स्टार्टअप इकोसिस्टम, they learn from their own experience. They have identified certain sectors which are close to their heart, which they understand, they have knowledge about, and they develop their own experience. So whatever I suggest now may not be applicable to those investors who have their own independent thought process and very successful. Okay, in their own right. For a new angel investor, I would say एक तो ये है कि a lot of angel investors approach me. होता क्या है कि they have a limited capital, okay, and they want to invest in a startup. So that limited capital, they invest in one startup, and they keep praying that that startup would be successful. Sometimes it doesn't happen, sometimes it happens, sometimes it doesn't happen. If you are okay to take the risk that I'm investing in one startup and that startup may fail, that's fine. But investing in one startup and expecting a 10x 20x return is foolish. Not foolish, but you have to be very lucky. I would suggest that if you are starting your angel investment journey in India today, you should have a portfolio of 5 to 10 startups.
5 to 10 startups.
Instead of putting a crore rupees in one startup, divide that into, let's say, 10 lakh or 20 lakh rupees and take 4, 5, 6, 7, 10 bets. Okay. So there is a higher probability of 1 or 2 ventures making 5x or 10x and compensating for the ventures who did not make it. Okay, as a portfolio, to always consider as a portfolio. This is one. Second, for a new angel investor, I would suggest that either take advice from an experienced angel. Okay, that advice is worth taking. Who have seen ups and downs, learn from his mistakes or her mistakes, or invest in only that sector where you have knowledge about. So you are, let's say, an IT engineer, invest in a technology. Okay, you are a finance professional, you understand fintech, you invest in fintech to start your journey. Afterwards, you can invest in everything. So these are a couple of things I think new angel investors should keep in mind.
So how do you manage your pains and gains?
So pains and gains are part of the portfolio.
Yes.
So that's where I talked about the portfolio. So if you have 5 or 10 under your kitty, you always manage pains and gains, right? You have to think a lot before investing, not after investing. एक बार आपने इन्वेस्ट किया, उसके बाद आपने कितना भी सोचा, कितना पढ़ा, कितना रिसर्च किया, कुछ मायने नहीं रखता है. Before investing, you have to do all these things. And if you do that job right, I think you don't fail in everything that you do as an investor.
Okay. So what do you see the common mistakes what a person makes while seeking an investment?
One thing I see very common is the founders are in love with their technology. They should be. They're in love with their products. They should be. However, sometimes they fail to communicate the aspect to the investor that why the investor should invest. I'm in love with my product, my company, that's fine. That's good for you. Right? Now you have to convince me why should I be a part of your company? What is in it for me? मेरे लिए क्या है? आपके लिए तो सब कुछ है, बहुत अच्छा है. मेरे लिए क्या है? So you have to show me the future realistically, reasonably good future, saying that if you invest, a trajectory of 2 years, 3 years, 5 years from today, we will reach to this level where the value of your investment will become X. And prove that. I'm not saying show me the dream. I'm saying prove that to me. Okay. Now there is no scientific formula where you can prove this, but then that's where the confidence comes. To show me the confidence, you have to show me that you are knowledgeable, to show me that you understand your market, you understand your customer, and that's why you will grow this company to a level where I will get X rate. So this is one thing, right? The second thing I have already covered about 1 crore, 10 crore, 100 crore theory, which again you have to show to the investor that I'm not here to raise 1 crore. Soon down the line, I'll be raising 10 crores at a valuation of 100 crores.
Simply, we can say that it should be a win-win situation for both.
It has to be
both parties.
It has to be a win-win situation.
Right.
The third advice I would suggest, and again I will come back to social media. I see a lot of messages on my LinkedIn, and I'm sure they are doing it for other angel investors. They do a mass messaging. Okay. मास मैसेजिंग में जब आप लिखते हो, मुझे 2 लाइनें पढ़ के पता चल जाता है कि ये मास मैसेजिंग में आया है. Then I don't pay attention. If you are approaching 200 people without even knowing my profile, without knowing anybody's profile, you're just bombarding messages on investors. It's a wrong strategy. I would say that you have to study the investor before approaching. Yeah, another mistake, a very common mistake that the founders do. They go to investor A, B, C and they give the same pitch. ये नहीं है. You have to again understand why this investor would invest. So for example, I've invested, I would not say heavily, but considerably in electric mobility space. Okay. So when somebody is approaching me for pitching a startup which is in electric mobility space, the person should know what are my investments. And he has to show me that if I come on board, there will be a synergy between his venture and the venture I already invested in. I'm just giving you an example. Okay? अगर ये मुझे पता चल गया, then I take a step back. I say that यार, it's a good thing. यहाँ पे तो पैसा multiply हो ही जाएगा. With a synergy, I think 1 + 1 is not going to be 2. It's not going to be 3. Probably 11. Probably 12.
कर सकते हैं.
Yeah. So let me take a chance.
Okay. So do you think any particular sector or industry which is unexplored or untapped? So untapped potentials for startup industry right now? Do you know the economical?
Untapped तो नहीं है, but I would tell you a few business sectors that I am very interested in, or I would say that according to me they hold a lot of potential value in near future.
Okay.
One is I just mentioned electric mobility. To me, electric mobility today is at a level. आपको याद है? Maybe you were. I'm talking about 25 years back when pager came in India. Pager. पता है पेजर?
I was just born 4-5 साल का बच्चा था पेजर आता था
Yeah, I was in school or maybe junior college.
Okay.
पेजर आ गया, उसके बाद मोबाइल फोन आ गया. That mobile phone was very heavy.
This big.
हाँ, this big, right? इतना बड़ा था. Outgoing call was 8 rupees per minute. Incoming call was 2 rupees, 3 rupees per minute. That was the era.
Cordless जितना बड़ा फोन.
हाँ, cordless जितना बड़ा phone, and these were the prices. Okay. Imagine that in the mobile phone journey to today's mobile phones. Imagine that technology in today's 4G, 5G, 6G. To me, the electric mobility space today is in that big cordless like phone, the heavy phone, right? Which came just after the pager. To me, the electric mobility space is going to develop so fast, so much, that it would transform that big phone into a smartphone with a 5G technology today. And that would take not maybe 10 years, 20 years, 25 years, probably next 5 years.
Okay.
So that is the scope for the technology development. We are in a very, very early stage right now. Very early stage.
So EV infrastructure and all that.
And there are a lot of, so for example, electric mobility, there are still a lot of shortcomings in the battery is very heavy. You cannot replace very, very easily. Nobody has tested the battery life. Nobody has used the entire battery for 3-4 years in a two-wheeler or a four-wheeler. Nobody has used. We don't know. We are estimating that after 3 years, battery should be replaced, or 5 years, battery should be replaced. We don't know. When we reach there, we will come to know क्या हो रहा है. There are a lot of unknown things still. So that holds a lot of value. I'll give you another sector. Dating sites. Tinder आ गया. हमने टिंडर इंडिया में भी आ गया. फिर टिंडर के कॉपीज आ गए, जैसे मैंने कॉपी पेस्ट मॉडल बोला. बम्बल आ गया for the women to have more say or control over etc. etc. Venture Catalyst has invested in a company called Truly Madly.
अच्छा, Truly Madly venture.
Yes. And that to me is the most advanced artificial intelligence based dating matchmaking app ever available in India, according to me. Maybe there is another, but according to me. And there are many who is there. And there are many homegrown dating apps, right?
Even in regional languages भी आ गए अब तो.
None of them is extremely successful in India.
Okay.
None of them. Not extremely successful in India. And I will give you some data points again. And I'll coming why this sector is very, very close to my heart. I will tell you. Today, the research shows in India that all apps together, okay, all dating apps together, the gender ratio is 3:1. There are 3 boys for 1 girl. Across India database, I'm saying. I'm not talking about one company, across all dating apps. 3:1. Okay. Now, a country like India, where probably the male-female ratio, going by the government records, is close to 1:1. Right? Somewhere it is 95 to 100, somewhere it is 98 to 100, 92, but it is close to 1:1, right? Knowing that, let's say, presuming that the age groups are also similar, gender records, you're talking about 1:1 in the dating age bracket also. Why the dating apps have 3 boys and 1 girl? Should be 2 boys and 2 girls. Should be 1 boy to 1 girl. Why girls do not prefer dating apps? Why there are so many boys who prefer dating apps? Definitely there are something wrong. They definitely, probably, women don't find it safe. Women don't find it secure. Maybe there are some other stuff happening which they don't like, right? Some dating company has to iron out these things. Otherwise, this industry will not grow. Slowly, it will collapse. Where people are getting fatigued. Those same stories you read in the newspaper and so on. So some company has to come up, and this is a very important sector for me to invest. I'm looking at a company which can iron out these issues. You know, another research I'll tell you, in India, when a conversation starts between a boy and a girl, the research shows that 2 out of 3 conversations abruptly get ended without explanation, which means that you and me are chatting on the dating app, okay, and suddenly I stop talking to you. No, अच्छा चल रहा है.
Okay.
And suddenly I stop. 2 out of 3. 66%. क्यों हो रहा है? There is some problem. Now some good founder has to find the problem and solve the problem, tap the industry, it will be a unicorn in no time. So I'm looking at these particular business idea. Through your podcast, I would tell the entire community, अगर किसी के पास है, please approach me. I'm looking forward to meet that founder who can solve this problem for the community.
There are many things I think related to it. Can be a social and cultural upbringing also can be one of the reasons, because Indians are not so advanced as Western people.
Indian women, you mean?
Yeah, Indian women.
Because बच्चे तो 3 हैं. You're saying only culturally advanced women are not there. You're on a podcast. It's going to go on, so be careful. So if culture doesn't accept, it doesn't accept for anybody. So you go to a small village, nobody has downloaded Tinder. Not a boy, not a girl. आप शहर में जाओ, अभी हम वाइजैक में बैठे हैं, पुणे में आओ, मुंबई में आओ, boy, girl, both download Tinder. लेकिन the ratio is 3:1, which means that it's not culture. It is something else. It is the safety issue, probably.
True.
It is this ghosting issue which I told you, suddenly, right?
Okay, for the new investors, how can they be a part of VC funds?
Part of VC funds, see, VC operates on a GPLP structure, okay? This is another thing that I would like to tell startup founders. Startup founders को क्या है ना कि वो चलो VC fund को approach करते हैं. They don't know how a VC fund operates. If they know how a VC fund operates, उनको पता है VC fund से पैसे मिल जाते हैं. लेकिन ये पैसे आए कहाँ से, कैसे आए, VC fund मैनेजर क्या करता है ये पैसे लाने के लिए, उनको कुछ पता नहीं. उनको ना जानने की जरूरत महसूस होती है, which is wrong. If they know the source, they can customize the pitch to a VC fund manager. This is what I'm trying to say.
Okay.
For a new investor, which is your question, see, usually the minimum ticket size for a VC is around ₹1 crore minimum. ज़्यादा ही होता है बहुत सारे VC, right? So if an angel investor has less than ₹1 crore, no VC fund will entertain. Number one, he has to go directly. He has to do this. There are a lot of syndication platforms available. Venture Catalyst is a investor syndication platform. Let's Venture is an investor syndication platform. Our Ventures is a syndication platform. There are many. There are Mumbai Angels. There is Indian Angel Network, IN. So these are all syndication platforms. Yeah. So you can be a part of that syndication platform and invest small amounts. That's a better way for anybody to do. Or take advice from an experienced angel investor and invest your own money without going into a syndication platform, which is the safest thing to do because आप खुद पढ़ाई करते हो.
So आपने इतना सब कुछ देख लिया, you have seen lot many things and everything. So what was your Wowza moment for the life, for your personal as well as your professional? सबको सुनना, everyone is waiting for that.
What's a Wowza moment in your life? Nobody has asked you this question, right? You have been asking other people. You tell me today. What's Wowza moment in your life? You named the podcast Wowza podcast, so must be a moment.
Yeah, जैसे we were discussing, plywood to podcast.
Yeah, plywood to podcast. I told you.
That was a Wowza moment for me.
Why did you start podcast?
Because I wanted to do it from many years actually. I've seen many podcasts. एक अंदर से बोलते हैं ना, आप कर कुछ और हो, आप चाहते कुछ और हो. So that is how I drove towards, or I have taken a...
So starting a podcast was a Wowza moment for you?
That start was a Wowza moment for me because I never thought I can do that.
So I'll give you a story which happened with me. Okay, and probably that was my Wowza moment, and that's why I'm here where I am, I would say. As I said, my partner, my co-founder, Dr. Ahmed Al-Zubaydi, a senior business personality in Saudi Arabia. Very well recognized, very senior business personality. When we were doing consulting for other companies, whenever I used to understand the business model of other companies, मैं उनके पास जाता था और डिनर पे या कैजुअल डिस्कशंस में मैं कुछ कॉन्सेप्ट बता देता था. ऑलवेज माय कॉन्सेप्ट, माय बिजनेस आइडिया, माय ओन बिजनेस आइडिया. ठीक है, तब मैंने इन्वेस्टमेंट नहीं किए थे. आई एम टॉकिंग अबाउट 2015. इसमें कंसल्टेंट. सो मैं उनको मेरे आइडियाज बताता था. एंड माय आइडियाज फॉर्चुनेटली और अनफॉर्चुनेटली वेर लार्जर देन लाइफ. मतलब बहुत बड़े, मतलब छोटे सोच ही नहीं थी, बहुत बड़े. राइट, सो बिग दैट दे वेर काइंड ऑफ अनरियलिस्टिक फॉर अ नॉर्मल पर्सन टू अंडरस्टैंड. ओके, मेरे पास तो तब पैसे नहीं थे, उतने नहीं थे. Right, so I had to go and approach an investor to invest in my idea. So every time this used to happen. So once Dr. Ahmed told me कि बॉस आप हमेशा आइडिया सोचते हो, बहुत बड़ा सोचते हो. It's like your dream, but it is that big that one is it is unrealistic. Maybe it will fail. Second is it is very difficult to communicate to somebody. And for a normal person, it is difficult to understand. आपका ड्रीम क्या है? Why don't you become a part of somebody else's dream, which is smaller than you, which is more reasonable than you, more realistic than you, needs lesser money, okay, and you achieve that. And if you achieve a series of 10 dreams, that is much bigger for you as satisfaction, as pride, एक आपके खुद के समाधान के लिए, than pursuing one unrealistic dream and having the risk of failure. So that's what I would say a Wowza moment in my life. So then I started thinking, how can I be a part of your venture? Okay, and the channel is money, because nothing else I can give you. My time is there in consulting, my energy is somewhere else, my knowledge is somewhere else. So this is the Wowza moment for me. Instead of pursuing my own dream selfishly, I become a part of your dream and try to make your dream successful.
Thank you so much, Mandar, for coming for Wowza podcast. It was great talking to you.
Thank you for inviting. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.